What's up, guys? Tara here for Rev3 Games, and I'm speaking with Dan Hay. He is the producer of Far Cry 3, which I just saw for the very first time. How you doing?
Good, great.
Yeah. I got a good 4 hours of hands-on gameplay. Amazing game. Of course, there's so much that's returning from the previous one and so much that you guys have added. I gotta say, the thing that immediately pops out to me as the coolest has to be the hunting. Because you guys, how many species of animals are in this game?
Oh, that's a good question. There's got to be over 30, I think, at least. And I think that what we really focused on was creating this living world where they would hunt each other, and if you just kind of sat there and watched, you'd see this ecosystem evolve. You'd see the different animals. You have the predator system. You have the animals that are just there grazing. And the idea was that Jason would go out there, he'd learn how to hunt, and he'd start to think of the jungle and think of the animals as almost like a supermarket that he could harvest.
So what is, I guess, kind of the importance of those kinds of activities in the overall scope of the game? Because you've got, hunting in there, you've got crafting, all kinds of things.
Well, it's incredibly important for us to be able to say, look, if you want to solve your problems with a gun, you can. But what we want to be able to do is offer you the enticements of, look, if you want to carry more than one weapon, you can do that. You can go out and you can craft a larger holster, you can craft a larger loot rucksack so that you can carry more stuff. It's about giving the player the ability to be not unlike if you or I were to go there. The first thing we'd look for is water. The next thing we'd look for is food. Then we'd look for shelter. And then we'd look for, okay, how am I going to survive? What is it that I can harvest? How can I go out and basically kill a pig and then figure out how to use it? And how does it roll into the economy? So that if you go out into the open world, it teaches you the skills necessary to go back into the missions and help you get your friends back. So the idea is that it's feeding you with, maybe you're a melee type person where you'd like to go up and do kills up close and personal. You have the ability to go out into the open world and discover encounters and discover things that are out there that aren't missions, that are going to help you build up those skills and spend that on the different skills that you have for the Tatao, so that when you get back and you're in the mission, you're that much more effective killer.
I know who you are, Jason. You are a warrior. And the Tatao will allow for you to reveal your true self.
The idea is that Jason comes to the island with maybe knowledge, but not experience. Maybe a little bit too entitled. And the idea is that Voss comes in and very quickly makes Jason feel like a victim. And as he grows and as he learns these different things, he stretches himself. And so we push that for the player. We give them an opportunity that maybe they've just played Far Cry with a sniper rifle, but now they got the bow. So now they're learning a new skill, and maybe they can take that bow and they can light the tip on fire. And maybe they can add an explosive arrow to that. And all of a sudden there's an entirely new branch of gameplay that they can play. And if we had have just said, well, you have to, they maybe would have balked at that. But now it's just an enticement so they can find out that they're really a bow hunter. They're really somebody who likes to go and do melee kills. They're really somebody who likes to go in and just shoot it up and just destroy everything. It's entirely how they play.
Are we going to be able to see Jason's character kind of become more confident and more skilled as the game goes on in ways, not related to his tattoo and stuff?
We had a very specific conversation early on in the design about the idea that Jason calls mom, not literally in the game, but this idea that Jason would call mom and say, hey mom, we've heard about this island. It's pretty cool. We're going to go there. And mom says, okay, be careful, have fun. And that when he calls back, if he survives till the end of the game, she doesn't recognize his voice. So we bring that into everything we do, his breathing, the way that he responds, candidly the reflection that his friends, let's say he goes out and he finds one of his friends and he brings them back to the grotto and they're safe. They begin to see the Tatao on him, they begin to see all these things that's happening with him, and they start to wonder, is this the Jason I know?
I can't do this! How am I supposed to handle this? You're doing fine! What are you doing? You're shooting at the Jason!
When we were writing the story and we're looking at this, we knew that the island was something that we wanted to have that had an element of insanity to it, like a character. And the question would be asked, is it the island that has a personality? Is it kind of like the Overlook Hotel from The Shining and that it just makes everybody bad? Or is it that people who stay there long enough because it's at the far edges of civilization, that they're the ones who are insane?
I think it's the drugs.
It could be. But we try not to answer the question. We want players are intelligent. Let them ask their own questions. Let them come to their own answers. The reality is, we created this witch's brew of an insane cast of characters on the middle of nowhere in a lush, beautiful environment, and we want the players just to experience it.
How many kinds of drugs are in the game, if I may ask?
Oof.
Did this actually play an important part in the narrative, like throughout the entire game?
The way we did that is that we didn't want to beat the player over the head with it, right? It's not a hammer. The idea is that we needed a convention to be able to say, look, in real life, if you go off and you have this type of adventure, you're probably going to have a very physical adventure, yes, but there's also psychological adventures to it. And you're probably going to take something you shouldn't take. You're going to eat something you shouldn't take. You're going to have an experience that you're going to have as a credible memory. So don't walk away from it, show it. And when we started to show it, we said, this is a great resource for us to show what happened to Jason before and what's going on in his head. So if you get hit by the spore of a mushroom and you're down in a cave, you're going to hear the echoes of what happened previous to the game. You're going to hear, you know, maybe, and the player will start to feel this themselves. Maybe Jason's not the favorite kid. Maybe Grant's the favorite kid, right? Or maybe he feels guilty about certain things that have happened. Or maybe you get hints and echoes of Voss's voice or things that are going to come. We offer that again as just a layer of depth that the player can discover.
Studio called. I got the role. Riley is your little brother. He looks up to you.
Going back to Far Cry 2 for a second, was there anything that you noticed was missing after Far Cry 2 and you were like, man, we really got to put that in the third one?
Yes, I think it was a matter of we looked at the forums, we listened to what people were saying, and what we heard a lot of was, please, no malaria. So we're like, okay, fine, no malaria. And then the other thing folks wanted was, it's a first-person shooter. You are your weapon. So please, no degradable weapons. And we said, no problem. But I think the biggest change that we made is the idea that once you take over an area, it's yours. You go into an outpost, you take it out, they're not going to respawn. Once you take that outpost, it's your little castle, and from there, you have fast travel to dart all around the world if that's how you want to play.
How long can people expect to stay in the campaign for?
I think if you play the campaign and you really focus just on the story, and you're not enticed, although I find it incredibly hard to believe that the open world won't entice you, I could imagine somebody could get through it in about 18 to 20 hours. I played the open world and the game, and it took me roughly 5 days, 10 hours a day, and I didn't finish all of the open world. I didn't even get close. So the reality is the game has a breadth and a depth that you make it. It's how you play.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. This is coming out December 4th, right? Wow, not very long from now. Dan, thank you so much for talking with me. You guys, we're going to have more Far Cry 3 videos before December 4th. I know it. I can feel it in my heart. So make sure you're subscribed here to youtube.com/rev3games so you don't miss any of them.